Hello everyone, welcome to the class of business environment. So far in the previous classes, we have covered what is environmental scanning, what is environmental analysis, why it is done, why it is required, and the relationship between the environment and business, how both the environment, how business impacts the environment, and on the other hand, how environment gets impacted by the business. So there is a very close uh, intertwined relationship between the business and the environment. In today's class, we would like to have a complete understanding of the business environment, what all elements it consists of, what all factors, and how it is bifurcated into different heads. Okay, so business environment on a broad level, it can be divided into two heads. One is internal and another one is external. When we talk about internal means anything which is within the business. Within the business means it is lying inside the business, right? External, when something lies outside of anything. So that constitutes external part. So when we are talking about internal, we are just talking about the environment which is within the business. See, we are well aware now that environment means any business, all the factors which surround a business that comprise of the environment. So when we are talking about the internal environment, we are talking about the factors and elements which are within the business, right? So for this, we can use a acronym VRS. It is not some generalized acronym. This acronym I'm using so that it is a kind of memory trick so that you can remember what all factors should be included in the internal environment. So V here stands for vision, values, mission of the company, mission of the organization, objectives of the organization, policies of the organization, right? So how all those things are impacting the business or the organization. Then when we talk about R stands for the organization resources. Organization resources means the resources, it can be your physical resources which are used in the organization, your technical resources, can be your human resources, and all other financial resources. It also includes your labor unions and every kind of resources which are part of your organization. Then next comes the S. S here, it means the structure of the organization. Structure means the relationship uh, between the authority and responsibility, the hierarchy of the duties, hierarchy, and the setup of the organization. Basically, it is the modus of operandi. So S includes your structure and culture of the organization. Modus operandi means how things are done. What is the culture inside the organization? What is the belief system? How duties are carried out? How activities are carried out within the organization. So V is your values, vision, mission, objectives, and policies of your organization. R stands for the organization resources, though your resources can be physical, technical, human resources, or financial resources. And talking about the structure, it shows the setup of an organization, which also includes the culture within the organization, right? After that, moving on to the external, we have three. External can be further divided into two heads. One stands for micro and another stands for macro. Here when we are talking about micro means the immediate environment of an organization. See, if this is our organization, suppose this is your organization, okay, so that means everything which is inside the organization, that is part of your internal environment. But when we are talking about a periphery means the enclosed boundary, the near boundary. Okay, when anything is happening near to that periphery of your organization, that consists of your, that makes up your micro environment. So this closed environment, immediate environment, this is your micro environment. And other than this, on a broader level, if we go, then there is a general environment which is common, right, which gives a overall direction or overall impact on all kinds of businesses or organizations. That's your macro environment. And this line part is your micro, and this is your internal within the organization, right? So when we are talking about this micro environment, we know that micro environment is your now immediate environment, and it also has the direct impact on you, on the organization. It impacts your day-to-day activities and day-to-day functions. So we need to end it very frequently. See what happens, your macro environment is a general environment which sometimes it impacts the organization. But that doesn't happen in case of immediate environment or micro environment, because regularly on your day-to-day activities or functions, it keeps on intervening the activities, and it has a frequent impact on your organization's tasks which are carried out, right? So in this, again, to remember the factors, which all factors will be included in the micro environment, there is another acronym which will help you rememberize, which will help you in memorizing the factors which will all form a part of micro environment. So this is COSMIC. So now let's discuss each one of them in detail. COSMIC, here C stands for your customer, right? Because customer is something, the bloodline of an organization or any business. If there are no customers for your business cannot sustain, right? It cannot survive. So customers are called as the king of the market. And Peter F. Drucker, if you know this name, he in strategic management also, you must have heard it. He is a well-known thinker in strategic management, and he said the aim of every business is to create and sustain customers. If you are able to create new customers and sustain them or retain your customers, your business can never fail, right? So when we are talking about the customer here, we are we are concentrating on the customers, because the way, whatever the customers needs and wants are there, whatever their taste and preferences are there, we have to make the changes accordingly in our product or in our services. So that totally depends upon the customer. We keep on making changes, it has a very direct impact. If customers have moved from they have moved towards more eco-friendly products, so we need to, it is a need of the hour, we got to change our products or services in that direction only. Then there is a little difference between customer and consumer, if you see it. Why so? See, or do you believe that customers are consumers or consumers are customer? If you think that the answer is yes, but I would say no, it's no. There is a differentiation between customer and consumer. Consumer is the person who consumes our product, or who buys the product for the usage purpose. But customer is not necessarily buying the product for the consuming purpose, right? Suppose there is a supplier, then supplier has the manufacturer, I mean the one who is manufacturing the products buys the inputs from the suppliers, and the manufacturer sells it to the wholesalers sells it to the retailers, and from the retailers consumers buy it, right? So when the manufacturer is selling to the wholesaler or the retailer, that means these are customers, they are not buying it for consuming. But from the retailers, when a product is getting sold to the end consumers, end users, those are your consumers, right? So customers and consumers both are important, but not necessary that consumers, that manufacturers will be directly dealing with the consumers. As long as customers are available for your business, your business will keep on flourishing, right? After that, next letter is O. So here O means the organization. Now organization means, when we are talking about the organization, we saw that organization itself is a part of micro environment, isn't it? So everything everything which is included in organization, be it owners, board of directors, your employees, everything that comprises of, that makes a part of micro environment. Then next comes your suppliers. Now suppliers are one of the very prominent force in the business environment, or you can say it is one of the key element. Why so? Suppliers, we take the supplies of your machineries also. Other than machinery, they also provide us with the supplies of our day to day nuts, bolts, grease, or other sub assemblies or ancillary parts which we require for the running of the business. Other than that, see what happens, suppliers have a very, the bargaining power suppliers, it impacts the business directly. What will happen if he's able to exercise the control, he has a very good negotiation power or bargaining power, he's able to sell the supplies to you at a higher cost. What will happen then? You manufacturer is buying something at a higher cost, so cost of the product will increase. Cost of the product, so totally the control of the cost of product is in the hand of the suppliers. And if you are good in bargaining powers, you can exercise a control on the supplier, and you can buy the same product at a lower cost, which will eventually reduce your total cost of production. And then obviously price will also be less. Consumers will be, it will be easy for you to sell it to the consumers. They will easily accept it if the product is available to them at a cheaper price. So suppliers are very important. They exercise, because of this bargaining power, they exercise this. Then other than it, there is a term in supplying also. There is a term called as outsourcing and in-house. Suppliers, they can be outsourcing and they can be in-house. See, this I would like to explain with the help of an example. Suppose you are a tire manufacturer company. So what is happening? For tire manufacturer company is buying rubber, right, from outside, and you are buying rubber from the suppliers. You are manufacturing tires, and then you selling it to the cycle manufacturers. So you are here, right? So there are two options with you, that you buy the rubber from the suppliers, then you convert it into tire, and then you sell the tires to the cycle manufacturers. This is known as the in-house. In-house means in the house you are manufacturing something. The other option is that instead of buying the rubber and converting it into tire, you can directly buy the tires, you do the packaging, labeling, and then sell it to the cycle manufacturer, right? Just in the case of, if we take an example of Patanjali. Patanjali is into biscuits and all kinds of FMCG products, isn't it? But is Patanjali manufacturing the biscuits in-house? No, it is not. It is outsourcing it from some manufacturer who are baking biscuits and all. It is buying from there. It is just labeling it, branding it, packaging it, and selling it in the market. So that is kind of outsourcing, where the source is lying outside somewhere. That the source of manufacture is not in the house, but it is lying outside. That is known as outsourcing, right? So in suppliers, you can do whether those suppliers are for your outsourcing purpose or for your raw material, which inputs which you are using. So that depends, right? After that, we have M. M stands for here market. Market means, you'll say ki market is customer and customer is market, right? We already talked about customers. But see, customers are a part of market. Market is a broader concept. Market also includes the other factors. Then what is the market trend? Whether market is a new market or it is a saturated market, how market is flourishing. All these factors will impact in framing a marketing strategy, right? What kind of strategy you should be adopting for marketing your product. So for that, you have to do a market analysis. You need to know the market trends. You need to know which kind of market you are dealing with, or which kind of market you are targeting. Then another is intermediary. In the previous example, we saw that suppliers, manufacturers, then wholesalers, then retailers, and then we have consumers. So intermediaries are kind of a bridge between the manufacturers and the consumers. So these wholesalers and retailers, they form as a part of, these are the intermediaries, and these are a kind of connection between the manufacturers and the consumers, because they buy the products from the manufacturers and then they bring it to the in front of the consumers, where they can be where the products can be actually used or consumed, right? After that, there is another C. See, we talked about suppliers, we talked about manufacturers, we talked about intermediaries, and we talked about customers. But there is another very important element of microenvironment, which is competitors. See, it is said that every business, to make every business flourish, to foster the growth of a business, competition is must. If there is no competition, no business can Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So competition always decides whether a competitor organization is in competition or not. How do you decide that? For that, there are two factors for that. One is resource, another one is market. Any organization sharing resources and market will be termed as competitors. See, in Patanjali, it is dealing with FMCG product. So who all are the competitors? HUL, right? Hindustan Unilever Limited, they are the competitors. For CCD, there is a competition with Starbucks. They are the competitors. How? Because from where the cocoa beans, from where the coffee beans are to be extracted, and from where they are also targeting the same market, right? So that ways it is said that if both of them are, they need the same resources from the same source, and other than that they are targeting the same market or the same customers. So if these two things are available, they will compete with each other, right? So this is your competition part. And after that, your micro environment, we know that all the elements have been covered. Cosmic, we talked about customers, we talked about organization. Other than that, we talked about customers, organizations, suppliers, market, intermediaries, and competitors, right? So these are all coming together and forming your micro environment. After that, let's talk about the external environment, macro environment part of your external environment. So we know that macro environment happens at a very large level or at a very broader level. It has a micro has your, it is your immediate environment, but macro is your remote environment, right? That is your specific, micro environment is your specific environment, and this is your general environment. That has direct impact, it has indirect impact. And generally micro environment impacts at a short-term purpose, it has a short-term impact, and the influence of the macro environment is long-term, right? It guides your overall direction, and micro environment impacts your day-to-day direction on the day-to-day functions, right? So now let's talk about the macro environment. Macro environment has been explained with the term PEST, PEST. Now this acronym is general acronym which is given by the thinkers. Those VRS and cosmic acronyms, those were made by me just to make you remember the factors, which all factors should be included in those two heads, right? But this PEST is a general universal acronym which can also be used in the exams. So here let P stands for your political. Political means the political environment, the type of government, the government's attitude, whether government is favorable towards the business or it is unfavorable to the business. Like Make in India, it is giving a thrust on the manufacturing in the economy, in the nation, right? So like this, it is a kind of impetus to the manufacturers. It is a kind of favorable and providing a conducive environment to the manufacturers in the country. So political environment is very important. You must have seen generally, you know what happens after the government is formed, after the elections, share markets, they generally clash. And then after that it sees a surge. So why that? Because your political environment or the political condition of a nation, it impacts the share market, which ultimately shows its impact in the economy. So that's why those, they keep a, you know, very kind of very sharp scrutiny on the political when the elections are there or when the government is getting formed, because they know it's going to have a big impact on the share market, right? So political, after that we have the economical. Economical environment is that environment, it includes three things actually, your economic environment. First is your economic system, another is your economic policies, and the third one is your economic conditions, right? Okay, so your economic systems, when we are talking about, there are generally three kinds of systems in a country. First is capitalist, another one is socialist, and the third one is mixed economy. In a capitalist system is such system, it is also called as capitalism is also known as laissez-free, you know, like in USA, where the all the control is with the businessman or with the capitalist. They have a free hand to use the resources. The whoever has the resources, whoever has the money can, whoever has the capital can own the resources, and they just keep on manufacturing and selling whatever is getting sold in the market, that can be manufactured, and there are no much impositions or bans or any kind of, you know, regulation from the government side. It is totally in the hands of the capitalist. Then second is socialist. Socialist like China, where the control is owned by the government. All the major resources mostly for the welfare of the people. Government is the, it is a kind of dictatorship. Everything is owned and controlled and managed by the government. There is very few you know, options or few liberty is given to the capitalist to start something on their own. And the third one is your mixed economy, just like our economy, where the major like defense or the railways, it is under the government control, and the other is in the hands of the other things are privatized. Those can be done by the private capitalist or private businessman. So it is a kind of balance where government is also taking care of the welfare of the people, and at the same on the other side, it is also, encouraging the capitalist to manufacture as much as they can, so that it can bring some growth in the economy. It can contribute towards the economic growth of a nation. See, basically, economics, why do we study? We study to answer the question that resources in every economy are scarce, isn't it? And then all the resources can be put to alternative uses. So where to use those resources? How to make best of those resources? To find the answer of this question, that's why economics is studied. And all the economy questions, or every country's economy is based on this only, because everybody have very limited and scarce resources, and they want to make best of those resources. So where those resources should be put in use, right? So after that, next is sociological, or your social factors. Now, what are your social factors? Social factor means the society in which we are dealing. Because see, your organization is part of society, your market is part of your society. Basically, directly, indirectly, you are dealing with the society only, right? Isn't it? So what kind of society, whether it is a open society or it is a closed society, then what are the religious values in that society, what are the beliefs in the society, what is the culture in the society, what are the issues in the sense corruption or literacy level, what is the state of children in the society, what kind of what are the things on the untouchability, how it is prevailing in the society. Because all those things, all these beliefs are to be taken care by the organization and by the marketers, and by keeping those things in mind, they have to frame their strategies, right? So market means society. So what marketing strategies are to be adopted, that will depend upon the type of society which you are, where your market is existing. Suppose we see your marketing strategies differ from north to south or east to west. In festivals, generally market is more demanding, or there is a more demand in the market. If we talk about north, during the Diwali period. But in east, it is the time is Durga Puja, where demand, it exponentially it increases. In south, it is when they have festivals like Onam and Pongal. That time they have more demand. So that is because of the society is varying, society is differing. On depending upon that, you have to adopt your marketing strategies. After that, I just talked about economic systems. I forgot economic policies. Economic policies means your industrial policies which are coming up, your export import policies which are coming up. Then what is your monetary policy in the country, fiscal policy where it talks about the subsidies and taxation and budgetary control, budget allotment. Then economic conditions. Economic conditions means there is a business cycle actually, or you say economic cycle. In the sense, see, there is boom in the economy. There are 4 stages in that. Boom. After that, once it touches the, zenith of any economy, it starts falling down towards. Then when it falls down, it faces recession. And this recession leads to depression. It leads to depression. And from depression, again, economy starts recovering. And then again, it reaches to the boom. So it is a cycle. There is no starting point. There is no end point. Any economy can start from any of these positions. But yes, it has to go through all the phases of the society, which keeps on happening. This is how the cycle of the economy keeps on going, or cycle of the business keeps on going. So this is also a part of your economic environment, that whether your economy is right now in the boom, or it is going through the recession, or it is at the lull of the bottom, it is facing depression, or it is in the recovery stage, right? So these three parts, your economic systems, your economic policies, and your economic conditions, these form your economic environment. Then we talked about the social environment, and now talking about the technological environment. See, understanding technological environment is very important, because it provides that ease and upgradation and advancement to the business. If timely you keep on changing your business with the changing technology, you will always have a upper hand as compared to your competitors, right? It will bring you more opportunities. You are upgrading your business, you are upgrading yourself. And especially if you talk about the organizations which are existing in more turbulent technological environment, like your mobile business, your computer business, or your telecommunications, for them it is changing very frequently, right? It is very turbulent for those organizations. So if they keep on changing with that, it becomes a opportunity for the business. Okay, if you adopt the technology proactively, that you will have a competitive advantage as compared to your competitors. But the same technological environment can also impose threats for some organizations which have a laid back attitude, which are not interested in adapting to the changes which are happening in the environment. If they are, see, if some new software is coming up, what is happening then? Some CA firms, accounting software I'm talking about here, some accounting firms or some CA firms have adopted it. So what will happen? They have a edge over the others. It is a kind of opportunities. People, they'll get more clients that they can deal with even this new software and these new rules and regulations. They will have more number of clients. But those who are reluctant to use or reluctant to adapt it, they will be lying behind. So that would become a threat for them, that how to overcome this happening changes happening which are happening, how to deal with these, right? So that depends ki whether you make the technology environment as an opportunity for your business, or you make it as an threat, right? After that, after this pest, there are also two more. It has been, pest has been converted into pestle now. There are two more factors which we talk about. L means your legal environment. Legal environment means all the rules and regulation, like the GST, which came up recently. That is a part of your legal. That is a part of your legal environment. Then your other changes which are happening, be it your industrial policy, be it your bankruptcy law, or any other economic law, any other company law. Recently not recently, actually in 2013, company law has been modified, it has been amended. So these kinds of laws which are happening, new laws, they form your legal framework. So according to those laws, your organization have to make changes in the formation also, in the running also, in the working of the organization also. After that, the last E is environmental, and it is also called as ecological environment. Environmental or ecological factors are those. See, when we talk about tourism, or we talk about agribusiness, that is directly related to the environment, right? Mining and all, those are directly related to the environment. But now trend is such that environmental factors are part of each and every organization which is operating in India. Okay, why? Because people are moving towards the eco-friendly activities, eco-friendly products, eco-friendly services, eco-friendly procedures. So for every organizations, there are some environmental laws. That means like while producing or while manufacturing one particular product, so and so how much pollution will be created, what would be the waste disposable, how your waste will be disposed of, then how much carbon will be emanated out of that. So these kind of laws are there which are applied, which are applicable in all the organizations now. And then everybody is trying to go for eco-friendly way of producing the products. so that the at least minimum exploitation of the environment happens, or minimum resources are exploited minimum, and the maximum output can be taken, right? So this pastel forms your macro environment, which is a part of your external environment. Other than that, there are also two heads, that is G and D. G here talks about global and D talks about your demographic. So global means it is a global village now. We are dealing on in the global market at the international level. We are dealing with those consumers. So we are not getting impacted only by the factors which are happening within our economy or within our nation, but we are also equally impacted by the globally what is happening. Whatever the issues are happening in, suppose there is a war going on in Palestine, so that is happening, that is giving an impact in India also. If USA is banning something in Iran, okay, that is also showing some impact in Indian economy. If Greece crisis is there, those influence of that also can be seen in our country. So globally what is happening, because we are global consumers now, we are not confined to our territory or our country. So what is happening at the international market or at the international level, that also shows some kind of impact in our business. Then the last one is demographic. Demographic means related to the population. See, population is always not negative. We know that we are the second most populated country in the world, but it is not always the negative side. There is a bright side attached to it. Thing is this, India is considered as the, by 2030 or 35, India is going to be the youngest country, because the composition of population is of young people in India is very high. So that is a kind of dividend also, which will give us some kind of advantage to our country. Like Japan, Japan is a country of old people. They have no young people. The composition of youth is very small in their population. So, and then see what happens, how your population is there. Ultimately, you are deriving your HR from that. Human resources are coming from the population in your country. So there is more population. That's why we have abundance of human capital in our country. In fact, other countries are also, recruiting. They are coming here for labor and everything. They are recruiting people from here because there is abundance of human capital in our country. Other than that, your population only defines or signifies your market. More population means bigger market. So no wonder that India is considered as a huge market. That's why all the other country organization, they also try to dump their product here, because there is a huge market here. Everything will get absorbed in our country. So the demographic gives you it is a source of your resources also, human resources also, and it defines your market also, right? So this all gives you this is the glimpse of the total business environment which we discussed today. Internal environment, which is the within the organization, it includes, to remember it, you can remember VRS. V stands for values, vision, mission, objectives, policies. R is your resource, organization resources, be it physical, technical, labor unions, human resources, and S is your structure and culture of the organization. Then talking about micro and macro, we know that micro is direct, specific, immediate, regular, and it impacts day-to-day functioning. On the other hand, macro is general environment, it is remote environment, it gives the overall direction, and it has a long-term impact, right? So, and there is a interaction, and these are the all interdependent relations between all the factors. So in micro, we talked about customers, organization, supplier, market, intermediaries, and in the last, competitors. And in macro environment, it is included political environment, economic environment, which is further divided into three heads. Then we have social environment, talking about the society composition, society beliefs and cultures. Technological environment, it can it can bring opportunities also for the firm, and it at the same time, if it is not changed accordingly or timely, then it can pose some threat also. There is legal environment, there is environmental, there is global, and in the end there is also demographic, right? So I hope it is clear to all of you. If you have some queries or questions from today's class, you can ask me.